Jean Orley asked me back. And she was lovely. And for the first time in my life, and in Lillian's, because Lillian had been there all the way through, in my life and Lillian's, both of us felt that for the first time in our lives, we were really treated like stars. Valuable, valuable stars by Jean Orley. Once again, I adore her because that was the one wonderful. The problem was the writing was disturbing everybody because the person who had taken over, Gordon, was an excellent writer. There wasn't much he could do with my storyline, but he did the best he could. And he was a wonderful writer. But he, too, died in his, I think he was in his 30s or 40s. He was very young, but he had done a wonderful job of taking over for Agnes, because Agnes is a brilliant writer, and when he took over, it was almost, it didn't make any difference because Gordon was so wonderful himself. Mm-hmm. But after Gordon died, the writing had apparently turned into very different hands that everybody was screaming about. I walked on to, first of all, when I left the show, the first thing I immediately did, in case anybody ever asked me back, was sit down and write a storyline called Caller Returns to Llanview. So there's still a script in my drawer called Caller Returns to Llanview. Oh dear. That I put away. I got it out. Jean Orley offered it to them because she thought it was so interesting, and it would have been. It was a fascinating script I had written to return me to the show.
What was the storyline?
Oh, it was very interesting because the guy who looks like he's going to be the Prince Charming is not. He's a villain, and she comes back all battered in a wheelchair and all strange and whatever. People don't know what's going on because they happen to go into this town where something happened that it was a very arresting thing. And obviously, because when Jean Orley put it, my agent, because I refused to go, when I sat down with Jean Orley, I said to Jean Orley, when I was asked to go back, I went back. I had learned my lesson about agents. I insisted, I'm not going back. I knew I could not, I had no leverage, those people could knock me silly. So I said to Jean Orley's people, I did it through Mary Jo Slater, who did the casting. Jean Orley had lunch with me, it worked out very well, but I said to Mary Jo, I have to be able to go back with the guy who got me out of it. I want to deal with him as my agent to put me back into it. I said, look, I'm a lot smarter than I was. I now know that the white girls make $1 million or more. I'm not going back at $75,000. You have to at least give me $150,000. I can make something out of $150,000.
And the show was an hour long at that point,
At
right?
that point, it was an hour long. Mm-hmm. But what I had learned so much from just keeping my ears open that I was much smarter when I went back, because I said I can make a life for myself. So what I did was when Jean Orley wanted me back, I said they put the agent that I had asked for. They let him. I said to him, I'm going to California to visit friends. Don't call me on the phone unless they pay me $150,000 because I can make a life out of it. I'm not going back to 1 penny less. I said, please don't call me. You do the hard work. So I went out to California and I didn't pay any attention at all because the idea of sitting by a phone as they went up to this and this and that, I wasn't going to sit still for it. I said, I've had to sit still for everything that they put in front of my face. This time, I'm calling it. It's my way or the highway this time. And he called me up a month later and figured enough time was passing that we had better take what we were getting. I said, I told you, Martin, I forget his last name now, but I said, I told you, don't call me. unless they're ready to give me that full. I said, I've done it their way. This time they have to do it my way. So it took another, half a month. I couldn't have cared less. And they finally came up with the full 150,000. Then I knew exactly what to do. I immediately incorporated so that I could pay myself 50,000 because that's all I was used to living on. That would do fine. I'd send 50,000 to Uncle Sam, and I put 50,000 into something pension plan. I forget what the technical name is. It's a pension plan that you set aside for a limited something pension plan or whatever, that was going to build up my future. Mm-hmm. And I also, because I was tired of the ride to back here to Westchester, because I was going back home, so to speak, I put the down payment on Park Vendôme was turning from a hotel into an apartment house with condos. I bought a condo there. That was it was adorable. It was a little studio apartment right near the Carnegie Hall area and Henri Bendel and all those things and what have you and so on.